great. Ryan from Trust Token.
Yes.
Hey Ryan, can you tell us something about Trust Token?
Yeah, so Trust Token, I think a lot of people know us for our original business, which is a USD-backed stablecoin, TUSD. More recently, in November of 2020, we launched TrueFi, which is an on-chain, unsecured, or under-collateralized lending protocol. Today, our total value locked is over $1 billion. We've done about $500 million or more in loan originations, and our token is listed on Coinbase and Binance and all these great venues.
Yeah. How do you get into this space after stablecoins to think about what would be the lending like if it can be even more massive adoption?
I think so, right? Part of the way that we got to TrueFi was that one of the biggest requests from TUSD's largest users was that they always wanted to borrow TUSD. But because we didn't own that business ourselves, we always had to direct them out to partners, different centralized lenders. And as we started to see the success of some things like Compound and other DeFi protocols, we thought that there would be a market for basically on-chain credit and under-collateralized lending, and thus TrueFi was born, and it's been a great 9 or 10 months so far. It's really exceeded our expectations.
Well, I bet you guys understand compliance and all the understanding of building reputation and credit so much throughout the journey of the last few years. And of course, congrats on the great stablecoin building up story. Coming back to lending, how to think about that it can scale to so quickly to billions of TVL? What is the strategy that really works in general adoption?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So much of the adoption on the lending side has just been, kind of positive press. As we've gotten more attention in the media, I think people have gotten more comfortable with lending. One of the other things is that, since we are under-collateralized, compared to something like Compound, where anyone can borrow from it, there is only a certain kind of white list of institutions that can borrow from TrueFi. Right now, we've got about 26 institutions that are active borrowers, including well-known firms like Alameda, Wintermute, Amber. They're some of the largest borrowers. And we're expanding as well, and we want to start getting into other types of borrowers. So right now, all of our borrowers are very crypto native. We want to move into other categories, whether that's traditional industries, invoice factoring, all kinds of different things. And we
it's only getting started,
we're working on it. We're working on all these partnerships right now. That's a lot of what I'm doing here at this conference. So.
Yeah, and you guys emphasize the on-chain part, working with Ethereum. Well, what are the critical factors that force you guys to let's really put it on chain, no matter how high the fees is still the right way to track everything on chain? What's the strategy?
It's a great question, and so much of the aspect to do it on-chain is that there's a lot of efficiencies that are driven from that. So for example, when a borrower takes out a loan, they're actually creating an on-chain loan token. And you can see this as like a, tradable representation, from what otherwise would be paper and a bunch of processes at kind of a centralized lender. So we brought a lot of efficiencies on that side. And then I think the borrowers have also kind of enjoyed the transparency and speed at which we're able to deploy capital with them as well.
For sure. So because these are really credit borrowers, right? How do you feel would the demand be so high that you don't worry about the fees? Would you ever consider even roll-ups to be part of the story?
Absolutely. So we're, even our borrowers now, they're larger firms, they're borrowing big amounts, but even then, hundreds or sometimes thousands of dollars in gas fees, it adds up quickly. And where it's really a problem is for our lenders. If you look at our pools now, they're kind of dominated by larger, institutional and kind of larger addresses lending, just because the fees to lend for a small user are so high. And if you're lending $100 or $1,000, it just doesn't make sense. Even if yields are 20%. So that's certainly something we're looking at. We're actually now kind of just starting to explore L2s a little bit more as some things are kind of to come to market. And maybe by the end of the year, we'll start looking at additional L1s as well. But,
very cool. What are some of the layer 2 projects that you're excited about? We are here to learn too.
I'm a little bit less involved in this side. I mean, I know that our lead smart contract engineer, he has been a fan of Optimism.
Very cool.
I think he knew their team from their prior iteration.
That's very important.
Whatever it used to be. But he's a fan of that. But at least from what I'm seeing from a business side, it seems like Arbitrum is getting a lot of attention right now. And
So where do you see the whole spectrum of under-collateralized to all the way to over-collateralized on-chain, but also the on-chain reputation, right? So far, you really work with institutions that you know. Would there be one day that you can think about a digital reputation credit?
Yeah.
Even though they may be anonymous, but their reputation on chain will show. How would that work out in the future?
Yeah, so this is definitely something that we're interested in as well, because there are a lot of these, kind of addresses you can look at, and they've got hundreds of millions of dollars, and there's no reason why you couldn't lend them $1 million. Or,
$1 million.
Just in theory, they have the ability to pay it back. But it's if they are purely anonymous, how do you kind of enforce that? It's an open question. But certainly something that we're looking at. And one aspect is just, hey, can we kind of reveal their identity to the minimum number of people possible, and let them preserve their pseudonymy or anonymity, as long as there's no default, right? If there's default, maybe share.
Have some kind of magical cryptography to hide the privacy, but auditable, right?
Exactly.
I think the last question would be, even if Harmony really think about pushing to launch 100 DAOs. DAOs actually have reputation, and they don't all run away, right? It will multi-sig and also have a multiplication in that DAO. Imagine something like a Compound DAO or like MakerDAO that already have built up their reputation.
Yes.
Will lending to a DAO be even closer to an institutional reputation that you guys can?
Yes, I actually think lending to a DAO is kind of a great case, because in some cases they even have a cash flow that's coming into the business. Or to the DAO, I should say.
Well, we are launching 100 DAOs. We'll be borrowing money from you then.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Thank you, Ryan.
You guys will be the first one. That'd be great.
Yeah,
actually.
That'd be a great conversation.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Ryan.